Look at how pretty you are. Are you lost? Are you scared? Well, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out, pretty boy. What do you have inside your purse?
I have glasses and a knife and a light switch.
I see. That's what every girl needs is sunglasses and a knife in her purse. I think that's a good plan.
I saw a light switch.
Oh yeah. Oh, look at this. Hey everybody, thank you so much for coming back and seeing me and Desi today. I hope you had a good week. It was a rough week. There's so much going on in our country and going on in the world. It was a week of a lot of reflection for me, a lot of long walks by the river, trying to figure things out, and well, hopefully I'll get there. And yeah, a lot of prayers this week. But I was going to do a video this week about the makeup I want to wear for my son's wedding in August. But I got an email from one of you beautiful subscribers, Patricia Jean. I have permission from Patricia to talk about this. But we went back and forth talking about some of her issues. And Patricia is 73 years old. And she was telling me how she feels disconnected. And she feels like the goodbye girl. And even though she's got 10, 20 more years to live, maybe 30, who knows, she still feels like the goodbye girl. And that's what I want to talk about today. I think that's so important. Patricia asked me, you've been alone for 12 years. Are you lonely? How are you doing this? Because I'm scared. And that's what I want to talk about. My husband died 17 years ago, and although I dated, I never fell in love. Suddenly, at my age, I feel so old. I feel I'm running out of time. I feel like I've said goodbye to my parents, close friends, pets, and now my only daughter is moving out of state. I'm happy for her, but I can't bear the thought of living out my life alone. Is there a transition that women go through? The 20, 30, 40-year-old woman who walks into a restaurant bar in her little black dress and diamond earrings and she turns heads. Well, how about that same woman at 75? She's got her little black dress and her diamond earrings and she walks into the restaurant bar and not one head turns. She feels invisible. Is there a transition that happens there? Does that woman still feel the same way about herself when that happens? What do you think? For me, I've tried to find the words to describe this before, and I just kind of come off sounding like an ass. And I've tried to find the right words to explain that transition of divorcing your self-worth from your physical appearance and turning heads and, how do I feel about myself? Because when I walk into a restaurant now, men don't fall off their stools over me. I mean, you gotta laugh, and I laugh about it now, and I'm so grateful when I walk in somewhere and nobody looks at me after I've just been, spending 2 hours being all dialed up. It's okay. I smile. I just feel so free because I'm not a slave to what other people think anymore, what men think. I'm over that, and it feels so freeing and so wonderful. But it didn't always make me happy. There were times years ago, 5 years ago, I would look in the mirror and just like, where'd my waist go? I don't understand what's happening. I would get on YouTube and it would be video after video after video of how to look younger, how to get rid of your wrinkles, how to help your jowls, how to be thinner, how to be bigger, how to be better, how to be younger. That was the message that I got from everywhere. And finally, you just say, okay, enough. You got to make a choice. Do I want fillers? Do I want a facelift? Do I want this? Do I want that? What is going to make me feel whole? What is going to make me feel good? When I walk into that room, how am I going to feel like a woman? And that is the transition that I think every woman goes through. But she has to find her own path. I seem to always go back to this Miss America pageant lately. But that was how I grew up. I wanted to be Christy Brinkley, tall and long legs and have a rockin' body for my rock and roll boyfriend. Well, that was never going to happen. I mean, I was 5'3", for one thing. When you get older, there is an amazing peace and self-confidence that you do roll right into. And it helps to talk about it. I don't feel confident 100% of the time, that's for sure. There are times where a certain man can make me feel not enough. But most of the time I laugh. Most of the time, I'm so happy to be alive and to be able to watch those videos on YouTube and try to figure out how can I look my best? Not younger, just a little better. There's nothing wrong with that.
What do I do to feel alive again? Why do I feel I have a need to say goodbye to everything I used to love?
We're going through an epidemic of loneliness amongst young people. So you can imagine what seniors are going through right now. People who are over 65 that have lost family members and friends. It's hard. It's hard to make new friends. But when Patricia was writing me, she told me that her husband passed away 17 years ago. And although she had dated, she never really fell in love, or they didn't fall in love with her. But she felt like she always had time, that she wouldn't end up alone, that there was always time. And I could relate to that. That's how I felt also. And she feels sad. She just feels like she's the goodbye girl, like her life is basically what it is. It's never going to change. She doesn't feel like she really has a future and that she's going to live out her life alone. And she wanted to know from me, because she knows I've been living alone for 12 years. Am I lonely? And how is that going for me? Well, there is a difference between being alone and being lonely. And I remember when I first got my divorce, I would wake up in the morning and think, I'm alone. How did this happen? What happened to my big life with my family, my husband? Where did everybody go? And I felt terribly lonely. And the more lonely I felt, the less I could go out and shake up the world or make friends or do anything. It was hard, and I did feel alone. I felt completely alone. I felt totally cut off from society. But as the years went on, I realized as I got out there and started to have a good time and started to rebuild my life, I started to date. And I realized that sometimes the favorite part of my date was when he said he was going to head out and he was ready to leave. I loved my privacy. I loved going out and having dinner and dancing and, some sweet kisses. That was wonderful. But then I wanted him to go. Right or wrong, that was how I felt. And you could make the case, well, you wouldn't have felt that way if you had fallen in love with one of these gentlemen that you dated. And you're right. That's probably true. I'll never know. I'll never really know. But being lonely, I don't wake up in the morning anymore and think, oh gosh, I'm so lonely. But what I had to do was change my life. I had to get out there. I had to make myself go places every single day. No excuses. I've got to, do my hair and do my makeup and get out there and greet life. I don't want to be the goodbye girl. I don't want to look up at the sky and say, oh, I'm going to miss you. Or look at a beautiful sunset. Oh, I'm going to miss you. You can't have that mindset that these are your last days and you must drink them in. That's not the case. The greatest tool that I possess that allows me to be happy and peaceful and content and to be able to laugh at myself, the greatest tool I have is that I can sit down and plan a future. That I can say, yes, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and this will lead to this. And because a woman without a plan, a woman without a future, then she does become the goodbye girl. Oh, this beautiful flower that I just planted. And it'll come up every year. And it will outlive me. You don't think like that. You can't think like that. Life is so precious, and you know that. It's just that you're feeling a bit depressed. You're feeling that perhaps this transition from such a big life where you could have plans and a future, that maybe that's taken away from you because you're turning 75, but that's not true. It really isn't true. If you get a beautiful notebook and you open up that notebook and you start writing down all the goals that you want to achieve in your life, the future plans that you have, I don't know how many people told me, what are you doing buying a house at your age? Are you kidding? A woman alone? Look at the repairs alone. It'll bankrupt you. No, it's not much more expensive than my 2-bedroom apartment. All I'm saying is that a woman without a floor plan doesn't have a home. Patricia, I do want to thank you for your beautiful correspondence this week. It did mean a lot to me, and I related so much to how you felt. And this feeling of sadness, I think once you start getting out, once you start actually rebuilding your life and moving towards a few goals, I do think that you're going to feel better. time hasn't run out, not even close. And the busier I am, the better. There are agencies, and I'll link some below, that you can actually call that help women over 65, get in touch with, certain leagues, maybe for sports, painting classes, gardening, you name it. Maybe just a little coffee group that you can meet once a week. A little bit of socialization goes a very long way. I know, I'm up to walking, 2-3 miles a day. Desi, it's like he's a gangster. He's like not really into the long walks without a lot of treat breaks. But I mean, I tucker myself out now so I can sleep at night. And I'm busy. I am active now. I'm active in the art community here. I'm active in, gossiping with neighbors. I try not to gossip. I really don't. But I love my neighbors, and we have so much fun talking about the past, the present, and the future. I mean, it's an older neighborhood here, but there are some younger people that have just built homes right around the corner from me. Okay, let's say you get on a plane and you go to London for a couple weeks and you have the most wonderful time, and then right before you have to go home, you get really sad, like, I probably will never be back here again, and it was so beautiful. And instead of really enjoying and drinking in your wonderful trip, you're just sad that you're leaving, that you have to say goodbye. And people have a terrible time saying goodbye, let's face it. I know I do. So if we go through our life as we get older feeling like the goodbye girl, then you can see how that would drag us down into this amazing depression that would zap our energy and our happiness. Boy, I'll never have thick hair again. Boy, I'll never fall in love again. Boy, I'll never have a house. That somehow, as corny as it sounds, we have to replace that goodbye girl with a hello girl, like, this is a new opportunity. This is a new day. I've been married 3 times, and I had a grand old time. But I was very blessed to have 3 of the most amazing, wonderful mother-in-laws a girl could ever have. My one mother-in-law at 79 started taking classes to speak Spanish. My other mother-in-law at 75 became a master gardener and started painting.
Build a dream, and the dream will rebuild you.
I loved my mother-in-law so much, and she was terminally ill. She only had 4 or 5 months to live. But one Saturday, she called me over to her house, and she just wanted it to be us. That was very unusual. I did not know what to think, because I didn't want her to be scared. I didn't want her to be burdened with anything at this time in her life. So when I got there, I had a lot of trepidation. But when I got there, she wasn't upset. She wasn't sad. She was happy. She brought me to the backyard, and she had 2 carts just full of perennials, plants that come up every year. And so I spent half the day digging, putting hydrangeas in the yard. And she would say, oh, that's going to look just beautiful. Give it 4 years. And I'm thinking, okay. But, I went along with it. And her happiness was contagious. I felt such peace and joy being with her that day. And she was telling me about all the joys in her life, the things that made her the happiest. And it was all things about her children and her art, because she painted. And then at the end, I asked her, just casually, I said, so do you have any regrets in life? And that just stopped everything. And she looked at me. She looked at me so deeply, and she said, you know what I regret? I regret marrying the man that I was so madly in love with. And I said, why? And she just calmly said, because he never loved me.
During my darkest hour, I thought everything would be fine if I just could find someone to love me, someone to come home to. But what I realized is the void wasn't that I didn't have someone waiting for me. It was that I wasn't waiting for myself. I had no faith, I had no dream. Because when you have a dream, the dream builds you.
Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I loved every second of it. And if you get a chance down below, could you let me know if you related to anything that maybe Patricia had written to me? We take care of each other, don't we? Please have yourself a happy, safe, wonderful brand new week. And when you're done with your week, you come back and see me and Desi, okay? All right, it's a deal. We'll be here.
Susan Buchanan, better known as Little Poet, is a renowned American musician and songwriter.
I could dream